the highlight of the entire night. Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman's Emmy-worthy performance. And when I say they deserved an Emmy, I mean,
no, they really did.
I watched it back this morning because I told my sister about it, and I was like,
"You gotta watch it."
I was like, "Did you see this?" And she said, "No." I was like, "You need to watch it right now. It's 7:30 in the morning. You need to watch it right this second. I don't care. It's 9.5 minutes long. You're watching it." And she obviously was like blown away. Like, and we've always been a fan of Heyman because of just how I don't even know what descriptive word to use when talking about how good he is. I there's no words that are in my vocabulary, I feel like, that accurately describe just how lucky we are to live in a time where Paul Heyman is still in wrestling. Like,
it's unbelievable.
He's so good. He's just so good. And that was just another example of that. But Cody did a really good job too. I thought this is exactly what I think I don't remember if we talked about it on the SmackDown breakdown or Raw Rewind last week, but I was saying, there's so much hype right now over Sami Zayn facing Roman at Elimination Chamber, and that's what everyone is talking about. And people are kind of forgetting, like, hey, like, don't forget you're really behind Cody too, and that's happening after that.
Yeah.
And that I had said I wanted to see more substance to that, because obviously whatever happens at Elimination Chamber is not just going to abruptly end whatever drama is happening.
It still ripples. We still have a lot of ripple effects here, peeps.
I watched an interview with Cody this morning, and they were talking about how these stories are running parallel to each other, but there needs to be some sort of way that they intersect. And I felt like this was the perfect way for that to happen. And I said it on Twitter last night, it was a very emotionally charged segment, which a lot of what Cody has been doing since he came back has all been very emotionally charged. But I love that we got Paul involved in that as well, because I don't think that was expected at all.
At all. And I gotta bring this up because of the story he told. So I'll give context for the peeps. So he told the story about how in 2000, Paul Heyman, true story by the way, Paul Heyman calls Dusty Rhodes and says, "Listen, we're coming to your neck of the woods. I know you're in a little bit of trouble, and I'd love to have you on the show. I'll take care of you, pay you well, and all you gotta do is just show up." So, Sarah, if you recall, when we first started doing the show, we had a little bit of a wheel, and I said to watch a random pay-per-view. Yeah, and you told me ECW, pick a 2001. Well, I picked the one I picked is the Dusty Rhodes one he comes out in. And I'm watching this, and to myself, I'm like, why the fuck is Dusty Rhodes at ECW? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? Like, I would say the ignorant wrestling fan watching this, like, what? Like, this is just nonsense. I loved it because I love seeing Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
But like, what's the connection? And to hear that story, I instantly started tearing up because I'm the biggest Paul Heyman guy. I had I'm a Paul Heyman guy shirt before it got yeeted by my mom to Goodwill. And I watched the documentary about Paul Heyman or the ECW one, whatever. There's an abundance of them. And the one thing in how I know this is just not a work or a story, kayfabe, is that when he was in ECW, he took care of every single employee, and he was so caring. And that is the other element to this that was so good, that this was not just a promo to set up something.
Yeah.
This was something that you are lucky to have witnessed it either in person or on TV, because the back and forth they had, the stories they told, and the finish, everything, it felt so cinematic. And I've heard a lot recently about how people think Cody and WWE compared to AEW, the place that he caused trouble after he left here. He's coming off a little bit plastic or fake, and just like too cartoony in a way with how his storytelling, whatever. But what's going on is that he is bringing back that old school style where guys would just come out and talk and do this. And you don't
Mhm.
see that now because fans are a little bit more in tune and want to be surprised, not just expect, the same meat and potatoes every night for dinner. They don't want that. And for Cody to do it and do it so well, and then you have Heyman, the other
Mhm.
old guy, to bring that. I mean, it was the perfect segment for Raw, and I legitimately was tearing up because it was so just emotional, like you said.
Well, and I think since you brought up, the audience of AEW and now seeing him in WWE, I think the biggest difference there is um I think he kind of had a lot of difficulty in AEW because people knew that he was one of basically the founding fathers of the company, and so he was teetering um between accomplishing everything that he ever wanted to accomplish, being world champion or whatever, versus basically doing none of that because people would think that he was just giving it to himself because he was one of the founding fathers. And I think now that he's in WWE, his character is himself. So it's like basically he's a John Cena at this point. Like he's not a character, but he's able to do whatever he wants without there being the repercussion of, oh, well, it's because you have stake in the company, you're an EVP or whatever he was. And so I think when it comes to the people who watch him in AEW, I think that they're a little bit more difficult to please. They don't like the way that things go into WWE. So as far as Cody, I mean, they hated Cody when he was on his way out. Basically, when he left, they didn't like him. They didn't like his character. They thought the same thing,
It was too
basically.
stale and it was too old and it
Yeah,
place for it.
um,
It wasn't. There really wasn't, honestly.
yeah, and I think that I think this is another credit to who is ever writing these segments, the storylines, whatever, um, because this was so well done. And it's not even just because of who was in it, just the fact that it was all encompassing of what we heard from Cody since he's come back at the Rumble, which has only been a week, but also back to when he originally came back and the story of wanting to be champion because of his father and this and this and that. And I liked that Paul played into that, but then also was making sure to emphasize that everything that they're doing and what's going on right now was about Cody and that it wasn't about Dusty. Dusty is just a part of his story because it was his dad, but
I did.
Cody is the one who has been doing all of this and Cody has accomplished all of this. I like that he played into that because if you've watched anything of Cody doing interviews or even backstage segments, he's said it multiple times that he doesn't want people to treat him like he's just Dusty's son. He
Yeah.
wants Cody to be enough for people. And so I liked that Heyman brought that up. And it's funny because as I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is really good. Like this dynamic, this back and forth, like it's so emotional. I was like, how is this going to end? What is going to be the kicker? Where are we going with this? And so the second that Heyman said my final call with your father, which like broke me because you could just tell like Heyman was emotional. And I just feel every time that we see anybody talk about Dusty, they always get choked up or start
Everyone
crying.
gets so choked up.
And I'm just like, man, like it makes you wish that you knew this man too.
I want to know. I wish I
You
knew this.
know? Yeah. And it's like, it makes you wish. And I mean, it's been what, like nearly 10 years since he's been gone. So
Oh,
it's like,
are you serious?
yeah, dude. Let
10
me
years?
see. I don't know the exact date, but let me
You
double check.
fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not. I remember it was on an episode of uh Total Divas. Is that sad? 2015. June 11th,
All right.
2015. Yeah, so it's been almost 10 years. I mean, obviously there's some time there, but um
What? Yeah.
anyway, so I think that that just shows you like what type of person that he was and with so many different types of people too. It just yeah. So anyway, I just felt this was a really good setup for Cody versus
Oh
Roman
yeah.
and I'm really looking forward to see where this progresses and I think it was a good choice to have Paul do this and to not have Roman kind of kick it off. I like that it was Heyman because they have that connection. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes because I think it can only get better. And and like I said, it's the substance that we needed.
It's only going to get better.
And now it makes sense. People can't complain now that, oh, they're just throwing him in because he won the Rumble and they just want him to win the championship. No, there's a lot more to it now. Like what Cody said, that he will be, people are making it personal and he can't wait to personally take away the championship.
Such a good point to get out.
So good.